Hello again and welcome into a brand new episode of Real Friends. I'm your host, T-Bob Hebert, joined by a couple of my real friends.
Hey, guys.
Rivers Hughey and Nathan Velasquez. What is going on, y'all? Of course, that was not Rivers that you heard there. That was Nathan.
Right, yes.
It feels like it's been a while.
Could have been me.
Since we've done one of these things, right? Because I guess it's actually been a little bit of a... We've released them in the same order.
Right, yes, because we filmed it early
was my
before you
fault.
went to
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yes.
So we haven't filmed in a couple weeks. I'm very excited for today's episode.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen you guys.
Yeah, it's not like we see each other every day and do post show
This is
together
our
every
third
single
show
day.
today that we've done.
That is true. It's our third
I see
show
way
together.
more of you guys than I see of anyone else in my life.
Well, look,
That-
there
yes.
is.
I see y'all on a more regular basis than I see my girlfriend.
Well, I mean that's she does live in Chicago.
I know.
if
but
she's real.
Even more so, that is,
I might see y'all more than I see Kevin.
I hardly see Kevin anymore at all.
Man. Yeah, I mean I don't like Friends particularly.
I know you don't, so it's like impressive that you are around us
But I
this
actually
much.
do like y'all. That's why I say y'all are my real friends. So I'm very happy to be here for a new episode. We have Nicolas Cage movies today.
Oh,
Yeah.
make a face. Make your best Nick Cage face.
I feel... If people are listening on the podcast, he's
Yeah, it's not
making
gonna
the
play
meme.
well.
It's
He's
not gonna
making
play
the
well.
meme face.
But he's making the Nicolas Cage
Is
face.
that the meme
Or is that
face,
the
though?
face-off one?
Or is that
The face-off
like
face?
The
does he
face-off
do that
faces.
face in literally every movie we're
I
going to
guess
talk
That's
about
just
today?
Nicolas Cage.
Like there's a lot of that face in Bad Lieutenant when he's on all of his
Yeah.
mixtures of drugs. There's maybe not as much Leaving Las Vegas where he's a little more just spaced out.
Yeah.
Which we got to talk about Leaving Las Vegas. I am
Well,
not.
we're going to talk about all these movies.
We are. Okay, you're right. I don't want to spoil my
We should
opinions.
probably start because River said that you have gotten some flack from people for us not choosing Con Air. So
Were you the one?
I
or did people give you
not,
flack?
But
Oh.
I do feel that almost any Nick Cage list should include Con Air.
That's
So
what
I
I've
think-
heard.
I thought maybe we should at least, maybe talk about why that's not on the
I've
list.
not seen the movie, so I can't
So,
offer any.
The reason why is all three movies we did are actually critically acclaimed, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Leaving Las Vegas has good ratings. Face Off has good ratings. Port of Call, even though anecdotally I know people don't like it, it actually has a very good Rotten Tomatoes score.
All three of them do.
Yeah, exactly. So we
Which-
went with the critically acclaimed Cage movies. If you're going to do Con Air, I think you do something like Gone in 60 Seconds,
National
Con
Treasure.
Air, National
Treasure.
Because, I mean, that is more tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Almost when you're talking about Cage and Con Air.
Which I feel we were going for the critically acclaimed. I feel like we had to have the
I'm happy
Nicolas
with the
Cage
movies.
Oscar winner.
Yeah. Wait, so what did he win an Oscar for?
Leaving Las
Leaving
Vegas.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
Hair's getting out of control. No, but before we get into the movies though,
Yeah.
for about 5 minutes here, what have you all been watching lately? What have you seen?
Oh, I watched Wonder.
Oh God,
Have you seen that?
no! I heard my mom said that the
Her hair really is out of
I
control.
got
Oh man, I just can't. I'm so
my mom
distracted right
said
now.
that Wonder is that I should watch it to learn how to be a good parent.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, they've got great parents in that.
So the other night, so I watched Face Off, and then we were gonna watch Leaving Las Vegas, and I was like, you know what, Kev? Like, I really would just like to watch something nice and light. I don't think I
Yes.
can dive into that right
I
now.
gotta say, Wonder isn't all that light.
Well, I didn't know. I just was like, oh, this looks cute and sweet and nice and whatever. Oh my god!
Heavy.
I like was nervous to come to work the next day because I was like, my face is gonna look like someone punched me in the eye. Like
Oh, you saw it
I
yesterday?
cried
Oh, okay, no, never
so much. It was out of control. It was one of those hyperventilating situations, like like those other movies I told you about. But it was so good.
But it's actually good though.
I don't
right?
want to ruin it for you.
Oh, it's
but it's
great.
so good. And I think this might ruin it. Not really. It's because I'm not gonna tell you any of the storylines, but the way that they put the movie together in that you don't like everyone's got stuff going on.
Yeah.
No matter how good you think someone's life is or how bad you think someone's life is, everyone has their own stuff.
Yes.
And it's like we forget that because we get so lost in our own stuff.
It is
and
true.
that's kind of the movie. But I didn't realize there's going to be a number 2.
Oh wow.
A
Really?
It's-
Wonder 2?
It's a book. And so the second book is from Darian, kind of the bully
Yeah. Oh.
in school. It's from
okay.
his point of view.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always
very
like
interesting.
I like when movies play with those concepts, like just making you understand maybe why people are the way they are, and it's not necessarily to excuse, but sometimes it does make them a bit more
Exactly.
sympathetic.
And that's what this movie does, Like some people make bad decisions, some make whatever.
I cried in the trailer for this movie.
I
so-
also cried in the trailer.
Yeah, so I know it's gonna be pretty
But
bad.
whenever they drop him off at the school, that was the first time that I cried, and there were probably like
Just the
4
whole
other
movie.
times after that.
Jeez, wow.
There was a.
See, the problem is I don't ever find myself in a position. It's why I've never watched a Steve Gleason movie, even though I know I should.
Ooh.
Is because like I never want to purposely grapple with all those emotions. A lot
I know,
of times.
but you know what? But they're good. Like you
You're
leave
crying from happiness.
you leave the
Yeah.
movie feeling just good about humanity.
I could probably use that after these 3 movies, actually, because we're gonna get pretty greasy.
They made me
here
very
for a little bit
uncomfortable.
today.
These movies made me very uncomfortable.
Oh,
Well, not Face Off.
Leaving Las
Face Off
Vegas.
was
No,
fine.
Face Off's awesome.
I've got to say, movies that make me feel incredibly uncomfortable
You like those?
make me feel incredibly comfortable. I love movies that do.
We kind of talked about that with the what was the last movie?
You're gonna feel like you just rolled around in bacon grease after you
What
get
was the
out of
last
the
Bret
theater.
Easton Ellis movie? What was it called?
The college one.
the-
American Psycho,
Rules
Less
of
Than
Attraction?
Zero,
The Rules of Attraction.
Yeah, like I don't know if you necessarily liked that movie, but you were like, I liked that it was.
I liked how much it was willing to be a
weird
greasy
and
movie.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
It got real
It was
greasy.
totally
I think
fine
Leaving
with
Las
it.
Vegas may be the greasiest movie we've talked about so far on the show.
You think?
Possibly.
I
Well,
think
it is
for
the
me,
most real. Ooh, it's sad.
it's
Well, we'll get to
sadly
it in a
real.
second.
Yeah, okay. What have you been watching, Nathan? I know what
well,
you're
on the
excited
post
to
show,
talk
we
about.
talked about Ready Player One. I watched that. I've seen that twice now.
Yeah, I
It
figured
is awesome.
that's what you're going to talk about. I liked your selfie from the theater the other
Oh,
day.
My goodness.
That
I
Shining
was-
scene. I want to see it, man.
Oh, it's so
You've done
cool.
such a good job
It's
of
so
teasing
cool.
it.
But I saw that. That was good. I saw The Death of Stalin, which, have y'all ever seen Veep? Have y'all ever watched that
I've
show?
not
love
watched Veep.
Oh.
It's the people who made Veep and In the Loop. That movie. Did y'all see that?
I did
it's
not see
kinda-
that.
It's the same. It's like a political comedy, pretty much, and it
Veep
takes
is so
it
funny.
takes the format of Veep, and it makes a comedy out of the day after Stalin died.
Oh, wow.
Is it
And
the same kind of comedy?
It's a lot darker because you have like obviously people are being murdered, taken out of photographs, a bunch of corruption is going on, but it is still very funny
Veep
at the
makes
same
me cry
time.
laughing. Like,
Oh, it's
so
hilarious.
funny.
Veep is great.
It's one of those shows where you always hear about how good it is, but I've never, it's such a steep mountain to climb at this point. Like, how many seasons of Veep
I
are
went
there?
through
It's like 5
fast.
or 6. Yeah,
I
you
went
can go
through
through
it
it
very
quick.
fast.
It's like
I'm not good at binging
Well,
TV
each one's like
shows.
20 minutes
Well,
long.
two-
Okay, I can do 20 minutes.
20 minutes long. And two, like, it's not one of those things where you have to watch all 6 seasons all at once. Like, even if you just watch a couple at a time, like, I don't know.
That's
I would
true.
say
so
start
funny.
with the movie In the Loop. That movie is hilarious.
Is it similar? Is
Yeah,
it
it's
like-
very similar.
Okay.
It almost feels like it's in the same world. Like
Okay.
So what,
everything's
it's the
happening
same
in-
writing team?
Yes.
Who is it?
Yes,
Okay.
it's the same writing.
I'm into that. I will definitely watch that. Then.
But also I saw The Ballad of Jack and Rose, which is like a Daniel Day-Lewis movie that came out right before There Will Be Blood,
I saw you tweet about that.
which
It's like
I
a
didn't-
Titanic thing?
Huh?
Jack and Rose? It's just a coincidence?
Titanic?
Jack
That's their
and
names.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, The Ballad of Jack and
Jack
it is,
and
must
Rose.
be Jack and Rose.
I saw you tweet about it.
So
yeah,
it's not a
it's
Titanic
awesome.
thing.
It is awesome. It's a
No.
weird movie.
It's not.
It is The Ballad of Jack and Rose. Wow, and that is like Titanic. I never thought about that. Wow, I missed a
I'm here
trick
for the
there.
jokes. I'm here for the jokes.
But it's great. It's kind of weird, but it's really good. What about you, T-Bob?
The only thing that I've watched lately, I started to watch Broken Arrow, which is another John Travolta film, this time with Christian Slater.
They met up
Opposite
again.
of Travolta. It's hilarious in how it's similar it is in ways to Face Off. Though,
Wait, what's it called?
Broken Arrow, another cheesy old action movie. Though I don't know that it's nearly as fun or good as Face Off. Definitely missing the Cage effect, if you will. But Broken Arrow's pretty interesting. But the favorite thing that I've watched lately, so my first day when I had baby Alice by myself for about 13 hours there while Caitlin was shooting a wedding.
Is this Queer Eye again?
I watched no. I would recommend Queer Eye though to anyone.
Don't make him start talking about this
I
again.
cried in almost every episode of Queer Eye. It's really good. If you feel good show, Queer Eye is your show. If you want to feel good about life and humanity. Season 3, the final season of Love, a Judd Apatow Netflix show. I think Paul Rust and his wife Leslie Arfin. I hope I'm remembering correctly. I think they're kind of the creative minds behind it, but it's a show that apparently I don't think has done like great necessarily on Netflix. Like they always plan to do 3 seasons, but Judd Apatow was saying that even Netflix told them like, hey, this should probably be the final season.
I think it has a very specific audience.
Critically, it has performed very well. And yeah, I mean, and it seems like more and more people are actually discovering it. It's
Everyone
gaining
I
some
know
momentum.
I don't think I've met anyone who has watched it and been like, ugh.
Yeah, no,
You know,
I agree.
everyone
I had
likes
like
it.
1 or 2 people on Twitter kind of popped up saying that.
When
but
I was
I mean, that's a
on
wide net.
the treadmill, there was a woman, in the treadmill next to me who was watching Love on her iPad, which she like put her iPad there.
Be a great iPad
in.
show for the treadmill.
Yeah, and so I just kind of stopped and said, like, I just finished that episode, which I didn't know if I was going to annoy
Little
someone
treadmill chat.
with that.
The old treadmill
little
chat.
casual gym chat.
Well, I mean, she was.
He's a gym guy now.
She was like on the level 2 on the treadmill, so I feel like you don't want to stop someone when they're like on 7 and be like, slow down.
Let's talk about this show.
I like that episode. No, so I thought as a series, I think it's really, really solid all the way through the 3 seasons. It's not a ton of watching. Like you said, about 20 to 30-minute episodes, 10 episodes season 1, and then 12 in the subsequent seasons. But yeah, I feel like it's one of the most realistic depictions of a relationship and the development of a relationship that I've ever seen. And that was the goal. I've read it because I got so obsessed with it. I read a lot about it.
Yeah.
Like the creators' goals when making it. And they said they really wanted to represent the messy middle portion of a relationship. Because a lot of times in movies you get the beginning, then you get the montage, then you get the end, right? They wanted to live, they wanted to live in that middle. I think all the characters are very endearing. They do that. It's very funny. It's consistently funny throughout.
I love the episode wherever he realizes that she's sick and he has something he wants to do that day, and it's kind of like, should I go take care of her or should I do what I want to do?
And then he gets mad at her because he gets sick, which then, I mean, one thing it does a really good job of is, and without, I guess I'm just going to steal the headline because I read an article that broke this down and I was like, a lot of interesting points are made. It deconstructs the myth of the nice guy, right? The nice guy who's always like the people pleaser who you think on the surface, like, oh, he's so nice, there's nothing wrong with him. And then you realize, no, I mean, he's just messed up in his own ways and just as selfish and mean in his own ways. Yeah. It just does a really good job with everything it sets out to do, I think. It's funny, it's entertaining, I'd recommend it.
It was interesting to watch it because it does feel, it's very real.
Yeah.
And I can think of moments like there was in the first season, which spoiler, whatever. In the first season where like he's into her and she's not really into him, and then she's into him, and then he kind of like finds the other girl and like, but then the very end of the season, so she's like trying to get in touch with him so she can like tell him she's not crazy, but it makes her seem crazy because she's like texting him a lot, but she's really like, I'm not crazy. I just want to tell him I'm not crazy. And I have had those moments where you're like, I'm really not. Like, I don't know how to make myself seem not crazy right now, but I'm seeming a little crazy. And it's like, you watch that and it broke my heart because I was like, girl, I know you're not crazy.
Yeah, I think you're kind of like a more stable Mickey at times, for sure. I would say. So Love's really good. I'm pretty sure that's all I've watched lately. Oh, the Star Wars making up. I got Last Jedi on Amazon. It comes with about 3 hours of extras. It's all very good.
The Phantom Thread making
hours
is
not enough. I need 6 to 7 hours of extras at least.
Maybe eventually it'll come out.
The only problem is when you buy a movie on Amazon, I can't get director's commentary.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know, because I know they have it out there.
The format just doesn't really haven't set that up at all.
But how have they not? It seems so short-sighted to me.
That's why everyone should get Filmstruck. Almost every movie on Filmstruck has director's commentary. Yeah.
Interesting to note, real quick, on the Last Jedi release, is that if you thought that you thought the Finn and Rose segment, the casino segment, struggled a little bit, a lot of that ended up on the cutting room floor.
I love that.
A lot of that entire. You would have really loved it then if you could see the original scope that Rian Johnson had for it.
The what and what?
You know, the casino scenes, the kind of side story, which didn't resonate with a lot of people. And I agree. I don't think it's the strongest part of the movie.
I didn't hate it.
But it makes more sense now because it seems like the majority of cuts that they made ended up with those scenes. And it was way more ambitious in the beginning. And it's still, I mean.
Did those animals make more sense when they let them go?
I'm still not in love with the father ears. I think sometimes they do get very cheesy with their lines.
You're going to catch those animals again.
It was worth it to stick it to this town, wasn't it? Like, that's a little kind of heavy-handed. But actually, if there's one weakness...
It's going to end up back in the stables.
I think that's true.
Exactly. Like, that's all I kept thinking about. I was like, wait, you're going to leave them like that?
If there's one weakness with that movie, I would actually say that sometimes, and maybe this is actually just Star Wars, because this is exactly how Lucas used to be, the dialogue is so... cheesy, like where may the force be with us, and it's like, how many times have we said that? It's just some of it I don't love, but I still love that movie. I still think in terms of quality of movie, probably the best Star Wars movie ever made, even if it's probably my second favorite.
It's the best one there is.
Aiden's about to start messing with your earphones.
Yeah, what is that? Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
How'd y'all do that? Oh, okay. Get out of here. Get out of here, you punk. What are you, little
Well, no, I need this because we're gonna have audio
okay.
clips.
Well, here we go. Let's get into our Nick Cage movies, though. That's what we've been watching lately. You should check it out. We are going to start with
Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas, the oldest of our 3 movies. Nathan, what's a little background on Leaving Las Vegas?
Okay, yeah, Leaving Las Vegas. It is directed, written, the soundtrack as well is done by Mike Figgis, based on a novel by John O'Brien. And this is you got it there, T-Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it's the only Oscar that Nicolas Cage has ever won.
It was nominated for a lot of Oscars, right?
Oh, was it?
Surprising.
I might be making that up.
That might be. Oh, it's taking me too long.
I could have lied to you just now, but it was several that they were nominated for.
Either way.
Well, this movie is about Ben Sanderson, Nicolas Cage, who is a suicidal alcoholic who has lost everything that he cares about due to his addiction and decides to drink himself to death in Las Vegas. While in Vegas, he forms an unlikely and odd friendship with Sarah, played by Elizabeth Shue, who is a hooker.
Yes, I believe Lady of the Night is the correct term, Nathan. Prostitute, purveyor of the world's oldest profession.
Okay.
Man, he reads this for a long time.
You talked over the first part of the audio.
You didn't even give me a signal that you were going to play it. And
Okay, he was just fired.
That's Leaving Las Vegas.
Fired.
That is how I felt the entirety of that movie.
Okay, that was
Just
badly
kind of
done on my
there,
part.
Waiting on the edge. That movie
Yes.
had such a strong premise.
That's the only audio we're playing.
That is
kept
the audio.
waiting
Well,
for
if
more.
you couldn't see what happened there, what happened was Nicolas Cage was being fired
Yes.
by his boss, and that is whenever he decides he's getting out of town to go kill himself.
Yeah, he
And
gets
what better place to go kill yourself than Las Vegas?
And he gets a nice severance package.
Apparently, he said, and it was pretty low there. He said that the severance that he got was very generous.
Yes. I apologize. I did not mean to step over.
I
your
did
foot.
not. I did not signal
maybe
you.
say it wasn't the strongest clip to play. There's a lot of audio, dead audio in there.
There was.
there was
There
so
was.
much opening.
The face-off clip has more audio.
Okay, excellent. I'm into it. Okay, but let's talk about the movie then. What is something that you liked about this movie?
I liked that these two characters, the character of a drunk and the character of a hooker, they're pretty stereotypical characters. They're kind of cliche, like in a movie, the drunk and the hooker. It's a pretty cliched idea.
Point.
And the performances, which pretty much, I feel like all of the movies Nicolas Cage is in, they probably would have sucked if it wasn't for Nicolas Cage. Their performances are absolutely stellar. Like, I have not seen a drunk portrayed in this way. Like, usually you'll see a drunk portrayed as someone who's just trying to act sober. Like, that's pretty much the extent. But he's pretty astounding in a lot of the scenes here where he honestly looks not like he's acting drunk, like he's almost dying.
No,
he looks like he's dying
convincing
throughout the whole movie.
For sure. And look, I would venture to say that Nicolas Cage has some experience with heavy drinking and partying, so he's probably drawing from a little bit of that. I think that's well said, because I do like that part of the movie. I also love that those are not generally your protagonists.
Right.
If you can even have a protagonist in this movie.
Yeah.
Those are the main characters that you kind of root for, and they end up in this kind of crazy relationship. I guess something that off the bat I really like is there is something perversely attractive about how he just says, screw it all, right? He had a successful job, so he gets a nice severance package, so he has a nice amount of money with which to go play. You can see how happy he is.
$300 a day.
You see how happy he is in the liquor store, just grabbing every single bottle, loading it up, knowing what he's going to. He's going to literally care about nothing and just drink himself to death. I like that setup. I do find, in a way, you can almost find that attractive, right? Because you don't have any stress. You don't have any life responsibilities. All you go do is drink all day, every day, and let life kind of take you where it will.
Mm-hmm.
What was something that you liked about it, Rivers?
I liked, which I know this was a very heavy movie.
Yes.
Which is why I didn't watch it at first that night. I was like, I need to be in like the right mind space for this. But I mean, aside from that, I really like how sad it is. I like the relationship, but I don't know, something about how sad it was.
Well, I think it kind of
really, almost beautiful. I don't know.
A lot of times, if you have
I mean,
someone that's like a high functioning alcoholic, you tend to think, well, most people judge them immediately, And I don't know of another movie that really puts you in the mindset of what it's like to live as a high-functioning alcoholic. Like that is kind of just how they have to be sometimes, and it's sad.
I will tell you though, this movie, like all like that scene you talked about, just the whole thing, like drinking every day, all day, just watching it made me feel very hungover.
No, it makes you feel terrible.
It makes you feel like right now, just talking about it, I'm not hungover at all, and I kind of feel like I am.
Some of his scenes where he has the shakes.
In the bank,
absolutely brutal, like in the bank when he can't.
Because you think of I can think of minor versions of that I have felt, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I think we've all woke up, curled up in a shower.
We have all woke up that way. We have woke up.
Or the bartender, when the bartender tries to just get him to like cut it out, man. Like if you saw yourself right now.
And I think he does a good job, Nicolas Cage does, in portraying, you mentioned the term high-functioning alcoholic. This is obviously a man who at a time was very talented, was very successful. You see him burning like script after script. But even like in his drunkenness, he has these moments of kind of verbal lucidity, right? Where he has these little quotes or quips that are impressive sounding and kind of make him seem like he is sane and not just completely lost it. But at the end of the day, he is a slave to alcohol, as he lets his girlfriend know when he tells her, look, you can never ask me to stop drinking. Like, if we're going to do this, that's how it's going to be.
Which, to be fair, she's kind of like, you can't ask me to not have sex with people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we should get into the relationship. What did y'all think of, what's the actress's name?
Elizabeth Shue.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, she's very, very attractive. What did y'all think about their relationship? This just down and out drunk in Las Vegas, and a prostitute who is essentially freed from her pimp. It looks like her pimp got in trouble with his own bosses and is killed, so she ends up kind of working for herself. I guess, what was her motivation? Because for people who don't know, if you haven't seen the movie, all that what happens is Nicolas Cage picks her up, $500, they're going to go have sex, and then they end up talking all night. They're just drinking and talking. He doesn't want to have sex. He just wants to talk to someone. They end up in this weird relationship. What did y'all think about her motivations for getting in that relationship?
Well, I think, and I've never been to Las Vegas. I know you just got back. You had a great time, and it seemed I want to go one day.
Yeah.
It seems like there is a scary side to Las Vegas. There are people that live in that side, and she obviously lives on that side, the nasty side of Las Vegas, and she comes across this guy in that terrible side and realizes that all this guy wants is to feel loved, and I would love that as well.
Yeah.
And so they just start talking one night, because that's all he wants. Like, whenever he is drunk out of his mind, all he wants to do is talk to someone that he's paying.
So she's getting out of this, like, really bad, like, pimp deal, and like whatever, and like what all she does, I mean, pretty much all the time is get paid to have sex, like.
And you can see that in the relationship where she drops all kinds of crazy like blowjob and sex comments. Like, she's very open with it. Ironically, he's just kind of like,
that's his send off.
I'm so drunk, I don't even really care. Like, I'm so drunk, I don't want to. I don't, whatever. But I always got the feeling that she was less into the relationship to feel loved, even though I guess maybe she does say that. To me, it always felt like she like almost wanted someone to take care of, wanted someone that was almost more messed up than her, and that she could kind of be this almost like protector role, the one who has it all together, almost like the lead in the relationship. Given that as a prostitute, she probably spent her entire life in kind of subservient relationships where she's had pimps that have controlled her, that have put her from place to place.
Think about just like you or anyone, think about relationships, or like, for example, think about when you're drunk or whatever. You always feel better when you're like not the drunkest person.
Yes, exactly. That's what, that's kind of what like he is more broken.
It makes you feel better when you're not the worst.
Yes, he is way more broken than she is. Mm-hmm. And honestly, she kind of actually seems to have like a really good head on her shoulders, which is interesting and maybe in a way unrealistic. I don't know if that matters here.
For her character, like as a hooker?
Yeah, she just seemed very attractive and very much like she had her life entirely together, to the point where why would she want him? But then I guess her relationship with the pimp explains that it's not maybe as put together as it looks from the outside.
Nicolas Cage, like in terms of like a movie pretty version, Nicolas Cage really seems like an ugly, like you might run into someone that looks just like him as far as alcoholic. She is a very pretty version of a Las Vegas hooker.
I mean that, and you know, to be fair, a high class escort they are very attractive. I feel like maybe high class escorts though would be above dating this just
She didn't
complete
seem
down
like
and out drunk loser.
An escort sounds because she was like on the street.
But are
That's
we,
true.
But
That's
are we
true. She's more of a
assuming?
streetwalker.
Are we assuming that just because she's pretty and like?
Yes. Yeah. Basically.
Isn't fair? You know,
yeah,
I mean, like
that's true.
And I don't mean that the wrong way. I just mean like just
No,
because
you're
people
right.
are pretty.
Oh no, and I think that that's more the years of experience she seems to have as a hooker. It just seems difficult that she might seem a little bit more worn out.
Nicolas
I think.
Cage though.
That's the only.
Yeah.
Not that she would be an unattractive person.
No, for sure. I get what you're saying.
They give Nicolas Cage a nice fine sheen of sweat the
Gross.
entire movie
And like
just
a
to make
whole
him look a
coat
little
of
nasty.
Any movie where they do that stresses me out. I don't like that. I don't like a sweat sheen.
It makes you so uncomfortable throughout.
Yes.
Okay, as far as things that I didn't like about this movie, I think y'all raised very good points. It is in a way this weird, twisted love story, and it's completely unlike any other love story I've seen in terms of the characters that they chose to fall in love. I did think it was pretty boring. I don't know if and I think it's probably a fault of my own expectations with that setup, and then with the kind of the gangster angle I thought they were playing. I thought there was going to be more of a plot. I didn't know it was just going to be about their
It
relationship
felt like
all the
that clip
time.
that Nathan played for you.
Yes, and so I just exactly like I kept
There was
like
a little
waiting.
bit of a clock in the background.
I kept waiting for something to happen, and it never really came up.
I can see that. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe two for
I mean,
me.
it's. Oh, go ahead.
Or I was gonna say maybe I didn't feel that way because I had seen it already. I mean, I'd seen it a long time ago, and
Okay.
And when I talk to people about it, people always rave about it. And so maybe in my mind, I already created this thing where the movie was good and I liked it. And,
Yep.
and so then when I watched it again, I don't know. If I had watched it with fresh eyes, maybe I would have agreed.
But I
with
mean,
you.
I knew it was good because I mean, it has a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well,
and
then
it was
it
an
must
Oscar
be
winner.
good.
So like,
if the internet tells us,
generally, and I get that, but generally,
no, I
every
a
movie
good
I've
metric.
seen that has a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes is generally pretty good if you're at 90 or above. And once again, I don't know that I think it's a bad movie, but I just didn't. I don't know. It didn't resonate a lot with me.
Well, there are obviously 10% of critics that did not like this movie. So
Yeah,
it
I might
doesn't
be.
mean
I
you
might be
can't-
in that 10%.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
It does feel like a straight character study. Like there isn't a ton of plot going on.
Yes.
It is very much the mind of a hooker and an alcoholic.
Which does
Which is
highlight,
fun.
which does highlight though how well, like you said, Nathan, the acting is done. Like I have no qualms with the quality of the production or the acting because that was all top notch. I love the music. I thought that kind of that jazz type of feel is so perfect for getting into the mind of an
And it
alcoholic.
was so sad that like whenever he would get another drink, the music would like pick back up
Yes,
again.
yeah. 'Cause, I mean, and that I imagine that music invokes the feeling I think that Nicolas Cage is giving off, right? And it's kind of like when you hear that kind of jazz, it's kind of discordant. It's kind of a little all over the place, but it's just together enough to make a song. And then when he doesn't have that, he's just, pure alcoholic shake, silence, kind of losing it. And then you can feel him getting it going. But it's never like super smooth jazz. Like it's never like all together. It's
Yeah.
always got a little bit of a jank to it, I guess.
It is-
So I think that was really
Yeah,
well
yeah,
done.
yeah. That was good. It is pretty slow. Like I even paused it in the middle, went and got some stuff done, and then came back to the movie. So it is.
I might have been better served for that because it just felt like a slog a little bit by the end. Like a lot of like.
I didn't remember it being 2 hours whenever I started it. I thought it was like an hour 30, an hour
shorter?
45. So I am sure maybe it would be better watching this in the theater.
I kind of feel like they could have accomplished what they set out to do in an hour 30. But look, that's
it's
always
just
a
so
dangerous
funny
game
because
to play.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, I wish it had been longer, but like, I don't feel that way normally. It's the
That is
opposite.
true.
Normally,
That
I'm
is
like,
true.
man, we could have done this so much quicker. I do think that
Blade Runner.
I read this book. I don't even remember what it's called. Maybe The Delivery Man or something a couple years ago, and it's exactly what you were talking about. It was about like kind of like the dirty underside of Vegas, and like people think about Vegas, they think about like the casinos and like the lights and the fun and the drinking and the gambling and like the clubs and whatever, all the fun stuff. But like Vegas is huge. There's
The town of
there's people
sin.
who are from there that don't ever like get up to the strip. They do all their own stuff. And the book was actually about this guy who his job was like to deliver escorts to and from like people, and it was a really hard book to read, but it was also really well written, and
Yeah.
it was a really good book, but it just made you feel really sad for these people. And I think, but this movie reminded me a lot of that book. And even though the book was sad and this movie is very sad, I don't know, just like I said earlier, something about the sadness like made me like the movie.
It
Makes you feel like your life isn't all that bad.
Right, for
you
sure.
can definitely judge
Well,
yourself.
that's how that
against their
book made
lives.
me feel. I was like, wow, like anything that's happening to me or any complaints I have in my current like day to day, like there are people who live like this.
You know
you
who
know?
actually, you know what movie actually does an okay job, or I don't want to say an okay job, but kind of speaks to Vegas's seedy kind of underbelly to me is actually the first Hangover movie. And I don't mean in tone, because obviously it's very fun.
Yeah,
but one
yeah.
interesting part about that movie is you would think from a preview setting that movie would take place during the night in Vegas, right? The nightlife with lights. That movie takes place like exclusively during the day.
But
And
it is
that's
a
not
nasty
something
movie.
and that's not something that you see a lot. You do, and this movie did that too. A lot of Vegas day scenes,
Yeah.
which
Vegas isn't cute.
it's
Vegas
like waking.
isn't-
I imagine it's like waking up next to someone, right? That you don't really know. You don't really want to see them in the daylight. It's
Right.
like let's just keep
Well,
it to the bar
you,
last
you
night.
leave the Vegas Strip, and it's not the Vegas that you see.
Yeah.
like it's even during the daytime. Even the Strip is fine, but as soon as you like veer a block, like a block from the Strip, you're like, where am I?
a
Like I
dirty
need to go
desert
back
town.
now. It's like kind of like when they talk about going to Jamaica or whatever, and you're in those resorts, and you don't want to leave the resort because
Yeah.
like you don't want to see what's going on outside those resorts.
Nobody
like-
wants to see how the sausage is made.
Exactly, and that's what Vegas is like.
Yeah, the big sausage factory.
There it is.
That's
I
Las
like The
Vegas.
Hangover.
I love The Hangover too. I'm just saying it's weird to talk about like something like this is a much more serious movie, but
sure.
they both kind of approach Vegas in interesting ways. Anything to add before we move on?
Well, Nicolas Cage did film himself while drunk to study his speech pattern.
Really, that's interesting.
You did a good job.
Don't think I would want to see that of
No,
myself.
no, that's too deep of a
It's-
dive.
it
You're
is-
gonna get too real with yourself.
It is
want that.
interesting that usually if you think of Nicolas Cage's acting style, it's always like over exaggerated, like he's the guy that'll do where no one else wants to do. And this is, I mean, pretty authentic. It feels authentic. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that goes this far in getting drunk, but it felt pretty authentic for a high functioning alcoholic.
I would
Yeah.
say, especially a high functioning alcoholic who has finally given up on
Yeah.
being high functioning, right?
He's just like,
who
whatever.
can just say, screw it, 3 sheets to the wind, I'm letting everything go. I will say this, if I were to ever do that, I hope that a lady of the night as pretty as Elizabeth picks me up and decides to house me
Take care of you.
and give me blowjobs and like did he have the luckiest break ever? He could have
What's
died.
that one scene
could
where
have
she,
died
like-
in that terrible motel and then he ends up
What's the scene
like,
where she like pours the champagne on herself?
Yeah,
but
she's
then he
pouring on- it's
he
like
just kind of
tequila.
falls over and like.
yeah, she's like pouring tequila on her nipples and everything, and he's loving it. It actually goes
Or no,
back
wait,
to
but
that.
didn't he break? He fell and like broke the table. And
Yeah,
then,
and so he doesn't get
and
laid.
then he doesn't get the thing.
Which is like speaks perfectly to his character. But that scene was interesting, just pouring the alcohol on her because it goes back to that tape recorder scene in the beginning where he's talking about how, so I have purpose in life. I want to pour bourbon on you so I can lick it. Like everything in his mind is about alcohol.
Right.
And even a
Well, that's kind of why she's
yeah.
like doing it.
yes, yeah, and even a woman like Elizabeth, who like even the average man, when you see this movie, you'd be like, oh my god, I would love that
Yeah.
scenario. He doesn't even really care that he's living there. It's just a place to be. So I understand that it's a good movie. I don't know that I will watch it again ever, though.
Well,
Actually, yeah,
It is tough. I mean,
Yeah.
Not something you want to watch a whole bunch.
No. But
I don't want
but
to
yeah.
meet the man whose favorite movie is leaving Las Vegas.
That's true. That's true. All right, what do we have next? I don't know the years on these. Oh, I guess actually Face
Well,
Off is
next is Face Off.
Yeah.
Directed by
Let's bring it
John
back.
Woo, who did Hard Boiled and Broken Arrow, which you finished it?
I've not finished. I just watched like the first
It's
20
good
minutes.
so far?
It is. You can very much feel a John Woo scene, the same kind of sentimental slow motion
Oh, okay.
intro,
Nice,
except
nice.
it's Christian Slater and John Travolta boxing against each other to start it off. Very good.
That's cool.
Similarities between the two, for sure.
It's written by Michael Collery, who wrote Tomb Raider, and Mike Werb, who wrote Tomb Raider and The Mask, funnily enough.
The Mask.
I love The Mask.
Interestingly enough, I mean, we also have masks here, kind of, made of flesh. This was also up for... did y'all not get that? It was up for
It took me a second. to
Metaphorically speaking.
understand that.
This was up for an Oscar for Best Sound Editing. In order to foil an extortion plot, Sean Archer, John Travolta, an FBI agent, undergoes a facial transplant surgery and assumes the identity and physical appearance of Castor Troy, Nicolas Cage, a terrorist, while in a coma. Everything goes according to plan until Castor Troy wakes from the coma and assumes the identity of Sean Archer.
Yeah.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
Troy?
Now that is between us, okay?
But you were...
In a coma? Nothing like having your face cut off to disturb your sleep. Read the newspaper lately?
Of course, that is the scene where
They meet for the first time.
Yes, they meet
As
for the first
opposites.
time in the opposite faces. Man, I really, really like this movie.
Your
Face.
Yeah. I mentioned this to like 3 other people that I was mentioning this, and every time you mention the name to
That's what they
someone,
do?
they go,
Everybody does
"Face."
that. Everybody does that. It's so weird. That's like one of them. It's like the moment that sticks out to almost everybody. But yeah, this movie was great. I don't know that there's a better first 20 minutes in any movie that we've talked about on this show yet than the first 20 minutes of Face Off. You want to talk about establishing who a character is immediately? You know who Castor Troy is after the first 20 minutes of this movie.
Well, that's
I love
true.
every version of Castor Troy.
Me too. I love every version of Castor Troy. But when
See, the first 20 minutes for me, it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? It worked. It worked perfectly. The movie knew what it was doing more than I thought I knew it. But it is a little eye roll.
Well, yes, so
inducing.
the whole movie is eye roll inducing.
Yeah.
He
Well, it
wakes
is.
up without a face.
And he's smoking a
He's
cigar.
smoking a cigarette. Like, hey, I took some
I
pain
love
pills.
that.
I'm cool. No,
I
I
like
agree.
your
Put my
pain
face
pills,
back on.
Dot.
No, so that's the thing. It's like
Ooh.
this whole movie is cheesy action, fun, over the top in character, over the top in action. Like everything about this movie is over the top. Nothing is subtle.
The moment that they're in the fight, that I guess it would be Sean Archer as Castor Troy is in the fight in the prison, and he looks at his brother and realizes like, I'm gonna have to ramp
Yes,
this
like, I
up.
gotta be
That was
crazy.
the
What
point.
am I doing?
That was the point
That's
that I
when he made that
realized.
face.
Like, of course, this had to be over the top because it makes it so much cooler. The movie is so cool.
Well, also, like, I think the most effective thing the first 20 minutes doing in terms of determining how crazy Castor Troy is that then you understand who's playing who.
I would like my face not to be that close to the camera, please.
you can
For real though. No, seriously though.
you can appreciate
Get out of here.
you can appreciate that John Travolta is Castor Troy when he is, and like you said, because he's so extreme, then you can appreciate when Nicolas Cage realizes, oh, I got to act more like Castor
Right.
Troy. So I think that works like from a plot standpoint as well. But man, I love Castor Troy in the beginning. He's so over the top, bad guy.
Whenever
who
he
just
grabs the girl's ass and he's just like, oh.
does not care. No, the best part though is when he shows up to the plane. Man, you want to talk about having all your ducks in a row, and your homies hand you these badass sunglasses.
Yeah.
Get them chiclets.
Box of like chiclets, a marijuana joint, like some other drugs, and then he has these 2 golden pistols. Are you kidding me, man? Castor Troy
That was cool.
is a grade
It
A
did.
badass.
So
It
good.
felt like a Japanese, like a Hong Kong action movie. Like it was all over the place.
Yes.
Everyone was all over the place.
Very anime in how
Yeah.
extreme the characters were.
I feel like they both did a really good job of playing Castor Troy. Like
Yes.
such a good job.
Yes.
But I don't think Nicolas Cage did as good of a job playing Sean Archer.
Oh, really? You don't think?
I don't think so. I think it was like he was trying so hard to seem like almost pathetic. Like a little bit. Like even in that scene that you just played,
Yeah.
whenever he makes his face, he like almost like he's like
I think he's
Like a puppy
I think,
dog,
I
like he's
think
trying
he is
too
a
hard.
fully broken man at that point because he realizes how messed up his setting is.
for sure.
That
And
all
can
of
you
his, that
imagine?
everybody
like,
that knew that he got fit, like this is the guy who killed his son, his arch enemy. Everybody that knows that they switched faces now dead. He's stuck in this maximum security prison. Like he is completely
sure.
broken.
but still, like he just I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, so I don't know if I agree with that sentiment, but one that I do that you said was I think Castor Troy is one of my favorite movie characters of all time, and I think that the credit goes to both Nicolas
across
Cage
the board.
and John
That's-
Travolta for making Castor Troy
Well,
happen.
it's the budget for this movie was $80 million. So this was a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
And like the biggest special effect in this movie is the performances by John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, the person we're talking about today. It's just like it wasn't, like Transformers, you want to go see the spectacle or something like that. You want to go and see both of these actors play the same character in a way.
Yeah.
It's insane.
You know what, too? I don't normally like the, well, actually, I'll talk about 2 scenes. One I really liked and one I did not like at all.
Okay.
As far as, like, action scenes. 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't typically like the action scenes. I don't know. I think
That's
they're
why you
boring.
like Leaving Las Vegas.
Exactly. Shut up. The scene where Nicolas Cage is trying to, like, find help. So he goes to Castor Troy's old friends and he's, like,
Oh,
staying
yes.
in that, like, penthouse and they're having the party and the whole deal. or
Doing
whatever.
drugs, that's where the face
Yeah, this deal.
comes
So
from.
then John Travolta, he like knows where he's at. So they like have this like, sting operation where they're all coming in. There's a lot of shooting and
Yeah.
a little boy and whatever. I really liked that scene. That scene was not boring for me. I liked that.
That lady is a terrible mother. having all those guns and drugs around her
Terrible mother.
kids. Terrible
Terrible.
mother. But what scene did you not
He's
like?
yours
I did
too.
not like the.
Wait, okay, no, we got to come back to the
Yeah,
kid.
we're gonna come-
all right.
we're
Because
gonna-
how the movie ends is
We're for
absurd.
sure going to talk about
Okay,
the
but
kid.
yes,
We're
go
for sure
on.
going to talk about the kid. I don't like. I did not like the boat scene.
What?
I knew this was going to like.
Other than
trigger you.
the part that you could see that those were stunt doubles,
Yeah,
like
well,
you
no,
could
how
see
about
that
this?
it wasn't
I s-
Nicolas Cage.
Well, that is like so obvious when he's like hanging from the side of the boat. Like that's not even.
Like, that
Nicolas
man has a
Cage at
normal
all.
I
shaped
thought that
face.
looked like Nicolas Cage.
Anyways, even if it was
Did you
Nicolas
watch
Cage,
this on your phone?
no, that's true.
it
no.
did not look like him. I even said that to Kevin. I was like, "Look
Yeah,
at the
it's-
stunt doubles."
I actually didn't notice that. One thing I did notice in terms of effects that were obvious was in the plane hangar scene. The first person that Nicolas Cage shoots, it is
The
obvious.
wires.
There's a wire.
The wires were so clear. Like he wasn't even
blatantly
trying to
unknown.
hide it.
Like I kept wondering, okay, how did I guess it was a budget thing, right? Like they noticed it
They had
too late.
$80
And they were
million.
like, no, but I'm saying
Oh,
like
I
maybe
see.
they get through the day of shooting, right? And they didn't notice it for whatever reason. They go back to edit and they're like, oh shit.
Well, why don't you just edit
well,
it out?
Just leave it in. Can they? Could they? Would I don't
I mean,
know.
this would have been like 2 years before
Like
what is it
Matrix
called?
and stuff,
Well,
so-
the Matrix and Phantom Menace. So I think the digital stuff was there.
So they could have done it. They just
probably could.
Wow, unbelievable. Okay, I'm sorry, River.
Well,
So-
no, I was gonna say
Movie
it
still
wasn't
works.
that the boat scene was bad. I thought that like in the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm into it. I get this. They're
Yeah.
fighting the deal. Then the boat scene went on for like 7 minutes.
so awesome, dude. It never ends. It's so funny
That
that you
was
say
long.
that
It
because
was thank you. It was very long.
And the
scene.
movie's 2 hours 20.
in
I
my
said
mind,
that out loud. I said I'm going to talk about how much I hate this and how it's too long, and they're both going to disagree with
In
me.
my
So
mind-
I'm kind of
thank
on
you.
board here.
Thank you.
in my mind, that whole sequence that starts in a church and then ends with a harpoon gun to the chest.
See,
That
the
is
church
up
scene was
there.
awesome.
The church
But see-
scene I'm into.
But to me, that's all one giant sequence, and that is up there with like the Matrix Reloaded 30-minute car chase scene, like the 30-minute Battle of Helm's Deep, the 45-minute Battle of Pelennor Fields. Like
I don't
just
know if
saying-
I can put it up there,
but it
extended
was
action
good.
sequences
I'm
I've ever
strictly
seen.
talking about getting on the boat to the end
Yes.
of the boat. It's just too long.
Because of course they should be on speedboats dueling each other, trying to kill each
Some
other.
random non-Nicolas Cage hanging off the side.
There
like,
was no other way this movie was ever going to end without an extended speedboat chase. You should have known that from how this movie set itself up.
although all the other fight scenes I really liked a lot.
The opening 20, the planes are all
like
really
that,
good.
yeah.
That is awesome.
Especially when you're about to kill
And that's
Cage.
typically not my thing, but I really liked I liked all the other fight scenes.
You better kill me.
I
'cause
really-
I don't give a fuck.
I love the guy
I'm
the guy from
God, he's so crazy.
So good.
who's the guy that's running the prison?
Ugh.
I liked him. I thought he was good. The one who's like the
No.
Geneva Convention doesn't apply here.
He did a really good job.
He was.
He's one of
making
those
you hate him.
guys where you're like, oh, he's that guy from that movie.
He's in Fargo. He's the husband in Fargo.
Okay.
So I know.
He's in a bunch
that's
of
what I
other
know.
stuff too.
Yeah, I know.
He's in that movie, The
My
Invitation.
ear is like popping. It's the weirdest.
Are you okay? You got it's good. All this face-off talk got you losing your mind a little bit?
A little bit.
The moment wherever you see his face in the sunglasses, that was awesome. I loved that.
Oh yeah,
whenever-
with the burn face.
yeah, he doesn't have a face.
Question.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things I think we got to cover in this movie, and I think we have to like just let some of it happen. But
Yeah, I think you have to let
You have
all
to
of it
let-
happen.
Most of yes.
but the deal true. The deal is there's like one doctor in the entire world that can do this thing. He gets
Yeah,
killed.
he's a spec ops
but
doctor.
then in the end, John Travolta gets his whole body and his face back.
Well, they brought in the
Where'd that
best team
doctor
from
come in?
Washington.
Yeah, I think there was one
bringing
doctor
in the
that
best
had
team from
been
Washington.
practicing this technique. And then I imagine that the best team from Washington studied his technique in his notes
Obviously.
and figured out.
Okay, cool.
how to
So
do it.
basically, any doctor can do it.
Now,
Great special effects too, though. I mean, even though
yeah, they were great.
even though it's obviously dumb how they did it, like it would
You
never
mean
work
with
like that.
the suction noise, like
Well,
like
yeah,
you would
that.
hear a suction
And then,
noise
like,
whenever.
They don't do anything to actually mess with the bone structure, but the bone structure magically changes.
And then the body
like,
shapes just totally change.
But when they have the
Right.
skin on the face and they're kind of pushing it around,
was great.
That's really good.
Well,
That's
but
really
at
good.
that point, that all the details there don't matter. You just want the face to
Yes,
get on
that's
the
all
other
you
face.
need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need, and you're good to go.
So you want to talk about this kid?
Okay, first, before we get to the kid, at the end, the thing that I find more disturbing is how obviously the kid is weird, but whenever they go through the battle and they say they're bringing in the best doctors from Washington, he gets his face put back on. He has to go home to meet his family. Like, why is his family not with him? So, like, it's kind of like, okay, so I'm gonna go get
He
the surgery
surprises
done.
them.
I'll meet you at home. How's that? It's like, yeah, okay, meet us at home. He's like walking up to the he's like, Dad's home. Like, be
Top
there
secret.
at the hospital.
Top secret, bro. Top secret.
Sure, that must have been what
they
it
weren't
was.
allowed on the top secret base. All of these questions have very logical answers. You
Really-
just have to find them.
Another thing, really quick before we get to the kid, and maybe this is like thinking about it too hard, but like, okay, so whenever their bodies were switched and Castor Troy was in John Travolta and they're in the church and he like takes the daughter and he like licks her face.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. If I was that daughter, I'd have a little bit of like PTSD with my dad about that.
Yeah, or like
I'm
when
sure she
he's like
probably- well-
walking in, lighting up cigarettes and kind of throwing a lot of like sexual vibes out at you. Yeah. I was terrified he was going to have sex with his daughter.
I was too.
But he didn't.
He
But
didn't. He didn't.
But within that
The
tension,
true Castor Troy would have, though.
you're probably
Yes.
right. The true, but then again, remember, he was trying to go straight. He wanted to live this kind of, if you have sex with your daughter, your wife is going to put you in jail.
Yeah.
But that tension that's in that scene is why this whole movie is so damn good, because to be Sean Archer, this is such a stressful situation. Like, this is why I was on the edge of my seat the whole movie, why you're invested, is because you're like, oh my God, he has to get his face back.
He's
Like,
got to get
this
it
guy
back.
is a complete piece of shit. He killed his son,
Gonna ruin
and now
his
he
life.
has to live as him.
So look at the
and he's
face.
like having sex with his wife. Like, so yeah, I do. That's really the crux of the entire
I just
movie.
realized the police captain as well, or the chief, is also in Fargo. He's the dad in Fargo. But I loved the scene whenever he just like karate chops him and he's like, he's had a heart attack. The movie is so much fun. It's like the movie.
Pressure points, bro. Pressure
The
points.
movie is like inviting you to laugh along with it, which
Yes.
is a lot of fun.
Which is a lot of fun. And it is fun. Fun is the
He had a heart
main
attack.
word.
Quick.
Fun is the main word that I like too, when Castor Troy becomes Sean Archer and he goes into the office and he's basically making fun of how lame Sean Archer was, and everybody's like, yeah, boss, why'd you always have such a stick up your ass? So it's I really enjoyed it. Okay, let's, because we gotta
we gotta talk about this kid.
we gotta
really
get to the
quick,
last
though.
movie. But yes, but before we do, let's talk about Castor Troy's child that John Travolta, Sean Archer,
Fathers.
decided to adopt.
I
at
saw
the
that
end of
coming
the
from a
movie?
mile away.
Oh my god!
Whenever that woman was like, "Can you
I
take
did
care
not
of our
like
kid?"
this even in the context of this type of
I
movie.
knew it was gonna happen.
it's like it's maybe like the one bridge too far.
Well, because the whole movie
It's
is
so
based
obvious.
on the one thing is like, you murdered my son.
Yes.
So you are the worst. First of all, I don't think they would allow
You
the
replaced his
father
son.
of the victim to head up this case against Castor Troy. But
It's a super secret terrorist organization, or
that is true.
anti-terrorist
That is
organization.
true. It is super secret. And well, the fact that they then pretty much replace the child.
It kind of
Yeah.
cheapens
with
it.
at the age, it's like the age of whenever that
exact
child died
age.
looks exactly like it. It's kind of like, guys, that child didn't exist. This is the true child. It
It's-
did kind of cheapen it.
It's not unlike in Beer Fest. Have you seen Beer Fest?
I've not heard of this.
Well, a character named Landfill
I mean,
dies.
well, first of all, I'm shocked that you even brought Beer Fest
I
up
love
in
Beer
this
Fest.
context.
It's one
with
of my
two,
favorite movies
that
ever.
You've not seen it, so I'm like,
Okay, so you know when a character named Landfill dies, they have his funeral and everything, and then basically they put a cowboy hat on that actor, and the guy shows up and like, hey, I'm his brother, but just to make things easy, y'all should just call me Landfill so we can like keep doing this thing we're doing. That's basically what they did with this kid. He just showed up, substitutes his old dead kid, and their happy family.
but I like how he walks in and he's like,
Here's the
"Is
kid.
this okay?" And everyone's like, "Sure."
Well, that's the best part. Like Nathan said, why are they not at the hospital? And then so not only
The
does he
dad's like
come
coming home from work.
not only does he come home with his face off, he's like, hey, y'all, I got a kid. Check it out. We got a new son.
This cool or what?
Not that that's going to raise any
Show
psychological
him
issues.
his new room.
Yeah, exactly. Not like that's not going to raise any psychological issues with the mother and the sister who have been dealing with the grief that comes from a lost brother
But
and
also,
son.
do we know why they do this?
Well, plot device. It's so that he could
don't know.
prove that he was.
Don't touch me.
I mean, it was so that he could prove that he was the father, right?
But like, we don't know why they do that weird thing.
No. Very weird though. It's a rubbing for those listening to audio. It's you just kind of swipe your hand out someone's face. We used to do that in college to like call each other an idiot, but we'd never seen Face Off. Like
You
if you
just do
said
it?
something, if you said something dumb, you just got your face swiped. Just be like, you're an idiot.
That's strange.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I cannot wait to start doing that to you.
Block it.
You're gonna give me a heart attack.
Exactly. Then I'm gonna shoot you with a harpoon gun.
I got a lot. I don't know why, but for some reason in my mind,
Yeah,
John
the resolution
Travolta is
is-
not like an amazing actor, but I forgot he's great.
He did
Yeah.
great.
Travolta's a
He did a
great
really
actor.
good job.
Great. I agree with you though. I don't think of John Travolta at the top of my acting list, nor, but he did really well. And it's funny because Nicolas Cage generally is the only one that's talked about in this movie, and John Travolta did just as good of a job of bringing Castor Troy to life. So
Hallelujah.
love Facebook. Yeah, We love Facebook.
Love
Wow.
Facebook.
Face Off. Unlike Facebook, Face Off won't share your data. So how's that? Suck it, Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, more like.
Oh, okay.
All right, our third and final movie of the day, local one here.
Oh, what bad hair.
The best bad hair. A film by Werner Herzog, Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. Oh, I never saw this tagline before. The only criminal he can't catch is himself.
Well, yes, like you said, directed by Werner Herzog, who also did the documentary Grizzly Man,
I
Agira
didn't know
Wrath
he
of
did
God.
Grizzly Man.
He's a big He's more of a documentary filmmaker right now than he is.
Well, he did like
narrative
the
stuff.
internet movie or whatever a couple years ago that I heard
It
mixed
was
things
pretty
about.
good. It was pretty interesting. He describes his own work as an attempt to provide religious experiences on film. Just a little background there. He also appeared in Parks and Rec and Rick and Morty, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Rick and Morty.
Well, anyway, Terrence McDonough, Nicolas Cage, is a drug and gambling-addled detective in post-Katrina New Orleans investigating the killing of 5 Sinhalese immigrants. And this is actually unofficially a remake of a 1992
Hold on,
version.
you're gonna want to plug that in all the way or leave it out.
Sorry, was I making?
Well, he's
Okay.
about to do it, and he's going to unplug it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Actually,
yes.
when I was Googling, just like see the actors or whatever on IMDb, I saw that there was another Bad Lieutenant, and I was like,
Yeah.
Well, but
it's in New
Werner
York.
Herzog says
is.
that it's not a remake.
Yeah,
or
actually,
anything.
the
It's in
person
New
who
York.
made the original said that he was sickened by the idea of anyone thinking to remake his film. Herzog responded with, "I have never seen Bad Lieutenant, and I do not know who Abel Ferrara is." Who is the original.
Yeah.
director.
Okay.
So he says that it's not a sequel or remake
Got
of
it.
any kind, but they do
He said
share
it was
the
more of
same
a
name.
marketing thing.
They
But
do
they're both movies about cops who are obsessed with drugs and gambling and things like that.
Maybe Werner's a lie.
well, I mean, a Bad Lieutenant. I mean, I feel like
Could you
that's
tell
what.
me how much longer that's going to be? Hello, miss. I'm a lieutenant in the police department. I'm in the middle of a homicide investigation. Can I get my prescription, please?
Do you see I'm on the phone? Hey, you can't come back here.
You got me waiting 30 minutes so you can make a personal phone call.
Be back. Security.
Oh man, the best part about that is next when the security guard shows up and he's like, he tells him I'm a cop, and if you're a security guard at that point, what are you gonna do? And the guard's just like, well, why you act so crazy? Like,
Why you
come
act
on,
so
man.
crazy?
Like, what are you doing?
Be
then?
cool.
Yeah, be cool, man.
Nicolas Cage. I mean, this movie, I feel almost more than the others, like, couldn't be done without Nicolas Cage. He elevates this material like way beyond where it could have gone with almost anyone else, I feel.
This movie was so confusing for me because it made me feel a lot of different emotions. It made me very stressed out a lot of the time. But it made me, like, there were moments where you were like, oh, he's so redeemable, and like, oh, just poor Nick Cage. And then there were parts where he's like having sex with a prostitute in front of some guy or some
Not even
girl.
a prostitute, just
or
some guy's
a girl,
girlfriend.
Some guy's girlfriend in front of him and making him watch, and you're like, no.
I love why he's getting off. He's like, oh, they probably think about you when you were a kid. Like, what would your parents say if they saw you doing
I know,
this?
and you just feel sick.
I will say the original movie is way greasier than this. It's way worse.
What?
Yeah, the original's rated NC-17.
Oh, wow.
And then there's like Fat Val Kilmer running around.
Val Kilmer did a pretty good job.
He's a good bad
in
guy.
this. It's been a while since really Val
And I just
Kilmer's
forget
been-
every time until I watch a movie with her in it. I forget
Mendes?
Yeah,
how
that she's a
beautiful
thing.
she is.
Oh.
No, I mean like,
Yes,
but,
that
I mean
too.
like, I know she's beautiful. I see pictures of her, it's whatever. But then I see her in movies, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's pretty stunning, man. All right, so what was something that y'all liked about Bad Lieutenant?
I thought this was probably the coolest depiction of New Orleans that I've seen. In
I
a movie.
agree. It was that was one
And
of
it
my
also
favorite.
felt like the
and
most
that's what's-
authentic. Like
'cause we
most of the
live here.
time, it's always seen as like this party city, which if you go there, it's a little bit grimier than
Well,
that.
it shows you. It shows you the non-bourbon streets and non-downtown area. It shows you, more of like.
It didn't feel like a
Annunciation
fake
type area.
non-bourbon street. It felt very real.
Yeah, I agree. I would
Like
agree
you
with
probably
that.
don't want to be there when you're sober.
I wonder how well that translates to. I wonder how well that translates if you're not from New Orleans. Because one of the coolest parts is that I could constantly see, I've been there, or I lived right there. Like, throughout the movie, they're just like constantly registering in my brain. And so I obviously just personally, selfishly enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I did too.
Some you like, Drifts?
I had something in my mind, and come
I can
back to
go.
me.
I can
Yeah,
go.
you go. I had something.
One thing that I love about this movie, and it does kind of go, I guess it's going to explain the whole movie, is that, and as a kid I saw this, and I remember this sticking out to me, it is one of the first movies that I've seen where the protagonist is really a bad guy, and he just wins. in the end constantly.
He starts winning big time
Despite,
in the end.
despite the fact that it feels like there's this noose around his neck that's getting closer and closer, and surely he's going to get caught up. Like, there's no grand lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
Like, he's just an
He's
asshole.
a bad guy. And
He's a bad guy.
But he's kind of a good bad guy. Which is that's the confusing.
Well, he's a bad guy that's got like a good moral compass. Like
Do
he's
you
doing
think-
something that's right.
So
There's
obviously,
something that's right going on.
So this guy, we don't know him before he got to this point. Maybe he was a bad guy all along. But either way, he hurt himself doing a good thing.
And really, that first scene is like perfectly indicative of him, because at first, so for those who don't know, he walks into a post-Katrina prison right after the flood. It's still flooding. There's a prisoner that's still in the cell, and like they're making fun of him. Like they're like sitting there,
Like, let
like
him
making
die,
fun
like,
of him,
whatever.
like,
Nicolas
let him
Cage
die.
is almost making fun of him more than Val Kilmer is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
And-
going to get my underwear dirty for you.
But then he goes on to save him. So it is like that is kind of representative of his
And I
entire
just
character. in that
realized
movie.
it's bookended really well with him in the end meeting that same character.
Yep.
I didn't think about that.
Well,
And
so
them
then
having
he
a
hurts
nice
himself.
moment.
So he jumps in the water, which I don't know why he just walked down the stairs, but whatever. He jumps into the water.
That's a good
Nicolas
point.
He,
Cage popped up on
he
coke.
hurts his back, and so then because he hurts his back, he is given he's putting on this prescription for Vicodin, and basically the doctor tells him he's gonna be managing pain for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So like that starts him down this path. Maybe he was already doing a lot of drugs. Maybe he wasn't. We don't know.
I imagine
That is
he
pretty
dabbled.
much. That's pretty much in
I
the
think he
story what
dabbled.
starts him off.
No, I think he
in the
dabbled,
story,
but
at
like
least.
that's where it really got like. I think that's
well,
where it started
then he
to go down.
starts combining the uppers and downers. Next
The
thing you
heroin
see him,
and then
he's
the
doing
coke
coke,
and, like-
and it's like,
Well, I love whenever he said I snorted what I
bunch of
thought
he-
was coke, but it was heroin,
So
and
now I
I've
need
got
the
work in an
coke.
hour. Do you have any coke?
But I feel like this is what I was gonna say earlier that I forgot. I feel like this movie has everything. It's got your bad cop guy.
yep.
It's got your like gangster killing people, drug
Yep.
lord guy.
Exhibit.
It's
X to the Z,
Exhibit. Yep.
which is
trying
just
to pimp somebody's
kind
ride.
of funny in and of its own self. I haven't seen Exhibit in a while.
It's also got Nicolas Cage trying to convince an LSU player to lose a football game.
That's right, dude.
That was great.
What? That scene threw me off so much, but also made me feel really bad for that
I
football
know. He looked
player.
like he was gonna cry. He's like, man,
He
what
just
are you-
wanted to smoke
He's like,
a-
what are you on a 4-3?
It just got everything that you could possibly ever need, which I liked.
So
It's got a prostitute that he falls in love with,
which
drunk
theme,
family in the swamp.
theme of the night, kind of, I guess, so far. Okay, wait. So maybe this is an interesting question that's kind of come up. Then, at the end of the day, would you say that Nicolas Cage is a good guy or a bad guy?
I think based on like all the decisions you watch in
That'd
this
be
movie,
a
he's
tough distinction to make.
I think
And maybe it's like, no, yeah.
I think he makes more bad guy decisions than good guy decisions in this movie. But I mean,
I
But
think he's a
like,
good
We're
guy
only-
who's run astray.
yeah.
Far astray.
his bad guy decisions are sometimes in pursuit of something larger, like when he's maybe trying to figure out where the witness went and he takes the oxygen tube out the old lady and he's just like,
All of those scenes were
kill
awesome.
you.
And
I should kill
the
both
side
of you.
characters are really memorable in this movie, almost
Yeah.
more so than most movies.
Can someone explain to me, because maybe I just like didn't get it, but can someone explain to me the weird reptile scenes where anytime there was a reptile,
Okay, this
you like
was one of my favorite
like a
things.
drug
okay,
thing? Is it a
explain
drug
it.
thing
I
or
want
what
to know
was
your
it?
interpretation of it.
Well, one of my favorite things, like usually we'll say that something's like visually awesome, and I think that, usually that's like from camera work, which the camera work in this movie is really cool.
Yeah.
But I thought the visuals, like the stuff that's actually put on camera, is pretty incredible. Like his psyche is almost put on display
Yes.
from a dead alligator in the road. Or
Yeah.
seeing iguanas that aren't even there.
Okay,
Like,
so
he's-
the iguana scene I think is important to zero in on, because in that scene you see him. At first he's like, yeah, everybody sees iguanas, right? And then nobody does, and you can see him kind of realize, oh wait, nobody else sees these things. And then you get the view of him through with the iguana in there. It's kind of this haze, and it's that feeling of if you've ever been in a room where you're drunk or you're messed up and everybody else is sober and you're trying to act like you're not. It's like
trying to not address the elephant in the room that only you know is there.
it is a
The
great
iguana.
visual representation of what it feels like maybe to act normal when you are not feeling normal
Oh,
and you're surrounded by
But,
people
but
who
the
are.
scenes were kind
Yeah.
of different in
It's
that
like
like
being like, it's like smoking weed before school or something.
well, but the scenes were kind of different in that like okay, so this
Right.
iguana didn't exist. He saw the iguana. We kind of saw it from it was like a kind of a weird like
Small
Yeah.
digital camera type
yeah.
thing.
But then the alligator scene, like the alligator was for sure there, right?
Oh no, probably. I think that it was just like instead of setting a mood through like a logical story perspective, it was just kind of
All
like
of a sudden you're like in the
following
alligator's
off.
eyes.
Have y'all ever? Well, some of the documentaries that Werner Herzog does, he does this like there's one about like caves, these like the oldest caves in France, where like there's like a 5-minute sequence that talks about albino radioactive alligators and crocodiles, and it's this weird, which just a form of context. Like this will happen in a lot of his movies, which that's more of like a director tick than he usually does.
But in this movie, do you think it's in pursuit of just showing his fractured, drug-addled psyche?
I think it. Yeah,
I mean, that's
think
what
it
it kind
pretty
of
much
seemed
works.
like. But I just wanted to
as
make sure that like that's what I was seeing because it only happened those 2 times, right?
Well, is there any stuff with a snake?
At the beginning,
The
there's
snake,
a little
there's just,
something
like-
of
Snake's
following
just going
a
through
snake.
the water.
Just follow,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, and he's at the crime scene. Maybe he sees the alligator and he's just kind of like, whoa.
I
Like,
thought
that
that
stands
really-
out to him way more than, like,
I
the
thought
actual...
that helped build, because for people that aren't from the South or New Orleans, I thought it helped build this type of idea. Is like there are crocodiles probably right next to you, like these vicious animals near you, which
And you don't even realize it.
Yeah, I thought did help set the tone.
Yeah.
So overall,
Also,
though,
Six Flags. You see Six Flags.
Yeah, you do in the background, which
Would have been just a few years after Katrina.
yeah, and it's weird. I lived in the city forever. I don't remember seeing the outlines of those rides anymore, but I never went over to where they're at.
I mean,
know
but this
they
was
film
like
a lot
10
of
years
movies
ago.
there. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, where did it go in the skyline? Are those roller
remember.
coasters still up?
I don't know. There was a movie, Killer Joe, came out
Oh
recently.
yeah,
and
it's
it
still
was in
up. You
there
can
as
still
well.
go. It's like real, like people.
Well, I know, like they film a lot of like
a lot of photographers will
horror and
go,
post-apocalyptic
yeah.
and stuff like that. There, I don't know. One day I'll have to go try to. I don't know how I never hunted down in the 3.5 years. whenever I lived
We
there.
also have Werner Herzog to thank for Michael Shannon. He made him famous.
Yeah, you saw that.
Oh
That's what
yes,
I was
meant
gonna
to.
say.
Yes, he's the guy. He didn't seem
Who
very
plays
Michael
it
Shannon.
very- Yeah, he's not very Michael Shannon in this.
Evidence room guy.
The property room.
What you
I
do
love
is you
when
go
the-
where the cameras can't see you.
I love when they're like, I
putting
guess
cameras. You're like, okay,
we're gonna have to stick our
dumbass.
best lieutenant in the property room. He's like,
Oh, I really liked when Nicolas Cage like brought the cops their form, and they're like, I thought it was a lot more than this. And he's like, well, we've got what we need for felony charge. Then just kind of look at Nicolas Cage like, you took the drugs, didn't you, man? Like, come on.
that girl cop was not a great actress.
Vicky Valancourt.
No,
Oh,
the
wow.
girl. No, the girl with the girl that he brought the
Right, the one
form
of the
to.
cops, there's Michael Shannon. The other cop, you remember that scene whenever he brings him
When she
Oh,
walks
yeah,
in with the
yeah,
coffee, she's
yep,
like,
yep.
"Yeah, we're just." I mean, she's. It was not good. It was bad.
That okay, so I think now we're about out of time. Anything else to say on Port of Call before we rank these things?
I think the more we talk about it, the more I like it. But it just stressed me out a little.
See, to me, I found this way less stressful than Leaving Las Vegas because Leaving Las Vegas
Oh,
is
this is
very
fun.
realistic.
This
Yes, and I
is
think
kind
it's
of
fun.
fun.
Like this is
It was
just
kind of
fun insanity.
Maybe his hair was the thing that bothered me.
No, like the
it's
scene.
so bad, dude.
I
It's
had to
so
rewind
bad.
it whenever he did the thing. He's like, shoot him again. It's like, why? It's like his soul's still dancing. It's just weird. It's just so bizarre.
Oh man,
man.
it's a movie that aged better than I thought it would. Actually, I
But-
was worried about going back to it.
The first scene, like where the snake is, and they're like present day New Orleans or whatever, and the music felt so 90s.
Yeah.
So 90s.
What
I
was
don't
the
know
music?
why.
I
It
need
was
to
just like
watch it
some sort
again.
of like instrumental, whatever. But it's just even like the coloring and like it just seemed like
It
a
didn't
VHS.
feel very high
like,
production.
it
Yeah.
didn't at
that
all.
is true.
And the
It-
font they used was like
Yeah.
weird.
They also have a like a trumpet going in this one as well, kind of like in Leaving Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
that's true. All right, so we have now reached the portion that is Port of Call or Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans. We have now reached the portion of the show where we rank them. We'll go around the room. Nathan, we'll start with you. Your number 3 movie.
I liked all of them, but I would have to put Leaving Las Vegas as number 3.
Rivers, your number 3
I'm
movie.
gonna do the same thing.
Oh wow!
I know, I
I'm
know, I
going
thought
to
about
do
it.
the same thing.
Oh dear, is this gonna be boring?
Nathan, your number 2.
My number 2 would be Face Off.
Oh,
I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I know. I'm a little bit surprised at how like you saw this movie and you put it like at the top of all of your movies
I
that
love
you've
it,
ever
dude.
seen.
It is
So
one of
we
my
knew that you
favorite
were
action
gonna. We
movies.
already knew T-Bob.
It's one of my favorite action movies I've ever seen now.
Yeah, which is awesome. As far as a blockbuster goes, it's almost ingenious the way that they make the actors the most important thing, which usually isn't seen nowadays. And it was fun. It
My
was
brother,
really
my
fun.
brother came around for a few days last week, and I was like, "Hey, bro, you got to watch the first 20 minutes of Face Off here. Just look at this guy cast.
Did you say it just like that?
I was like, just look at him. Look at that gold money clip he has. What a badass. What is your number 2, Rivers?
Oh my God. Bad Lieutenant. Port
Yeah.
of Call, New Orleans.
That is also my number 2. Meaning, Nathan, your number 1 is.
Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. It's just so much. I thought it was fun.
Face Off.
And yes, I too. am choosing Face Off. I think Castor Troy goes down. Oh, I thought you were giving me a high
I was
five.
gonna-
Just swiping
I
my
was gonna
face.
swipe your face.
I too think that I think that Castor Troy is one of the best movie characters of all time.
He was good.
Like I
It
love
was-
him,
Whoa.
dude. I
No, he was
absolutely
awesome.
love him.
He was so much
Well,
fun.
and the thing is he was so good no matter who was playing him.
Yeah, which is a credit to Nicolas Cage and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And John Travolta.
Which I've got to say, we're recording this on April 2nd.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So everyone watch it.
Oh,
which
cool.
they are re-releasing in 70
are.
millimeter.
They are.
But do we have a 70 millimeter theater here in Louisiana?
There's one in New Orleans, so we'll probably get it.
Britannia?
It's actually an AMC, the AMC on Canal Place, I think.
Okay.
Ooh, I hate going to that theater, but
Yeah, it
I'll
does kinda suck.
be still down to check it out, I suppose. All right, y'all, that is another episode of Real Friends in the Book. Nicolas Cage coming at you. We almost had unanimous. It looks like
Almost.
Leaving Las
Sorry.
Vegas coming in third, and
Always.
then Port of Call and Face Off switch there. Hope you had a great time. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with, we'll let you know. what
We
we're
keep
gonna talk
saying
about.
Disney
We'll let you
movies.
know.
Maybe it'll be Disney
Maybe
movies
finally
this
we'll
time.
be
Bye.
Disney movies. Later, y'all.